Elon Musk really knows how to pick them. He really knows how to assemble the dream team of racist trolls, of obnoxious teenagers who will steal your personal data, and of frat bro, immature, inexperienced hacker dudes who have no business being a part of our government. And today, all jokes aside, this story that came out today is actually quite scary. It says, Musk's DOGE teen was fired by a previous cybersecurity firm for leaking government secrets. The exact type of person that we want having our social security numbers and the personal data of millions and millions of federal workers. Edward Korestein posted online that he had retained access to the firm's servers. Now, he has access to sensitive government information. And there are a few worries that I've been pointing out relentlessly over the past week. Number one, have these teenage dudes gotten a security clearance? Do they have the proper clearance and the proper background checks to be having access to this information? Well, it seems like no. Elon didn't have any security checks or background checks, but even if they did, what makes these 4 or 5 dudes uniquely qualified to be gutting our federal government? There's no good answer, and I don't know if we're gonna get one, but I wanna break down this story, and I wanna break down the implications, because I've said this a lot, but while Donald Trump is out there with all of these distractions, he holds 3 press conferences a day and is always talking about transgender people, while it's important to cover that stuff, I think the real story lies in what Elon Musk is doing. He is pulling off a coup at breakneck speeds, and the onus is on us to cover every single move he makes. While the Washington Post fails, these other mainstream organizations fail to cover him. The onus is now on people like you and I to pay attention. So all that I ask is that you drop a like, subscribe, watch until the end to help boost this video. And before we even break down this main story about the cybersecurity teen, I want to give an update on the DOGE staffer who resigned yesterday over racist posts, because it has started an online storm, an online fight where JD Vance had to butt in and say, here's my view. I think the kid should be rehired despite his racist posts. It is an absolutely insane timeline that we live in, and let's just start from the beginning. So yesterday I made a video about a key DOGE staff member who gained access to the Treasury Department that had to resign because he advocated for racism and eugenics. He wasn't just posting some racist meme, not that that would be okay, but it wasn't just some meme. He was genuinely advocating for more people to be racist, and he was advocating for eugenics. And the crazy part is, this dude was advocating for people to be racist against Indians. He hates Indians, and he said, I think more people should hate Indians. And JD Vance's wife and children are pretty visibly Indian. So I don't know why JD Vance is running defense, but let's continue breaking down this story so we can get to the main one. It says, Marco Elez, a 25-year-old who was a part of the cadre of Elon Musk lieutenants deployed by DOGE, had to resign after his account leaked. Quote, just for the record, I was racist before it was cool, the account posted in July, less than a year ago. He then said, quote, you could not pay me to marry outside my ethnicity. He said that in September. He then said, quote, normalize Indian hate, the account wrote in September. That was only a few months back. On Friday morning, Musk then posted a poll to X, asking his followers if DOGE should rehire the staffer who made inappropriate statements. And now let's jump over to that poll, because you guys get it. You guys get that this kid is a racist POS. And there's a difference. I'm going to take the stance that there is a difference between a tweet from 12 years ago from some celebrity resurfacing, and that celebrity makes some sort of edgy joke, and now they are very remorseful, they have changed. I don't think we should go at somebody's neck if they said something 12 years ago that was slightly edgy. We've seen cases like that. That's not cool. But when somebody 4 months ago was saying more people should be racist, that is absolutely the most vile type of racism possible. So Elon Musk then posted at 8 a.m. this morning, should I bring back the DOGE staffer who made inappropriate statements via a now deleted pseudonym? And it's like, dude, you're asking your Nazi fan base on the Nazi app if you should bring back the Nazi dude? Of course, 78% of people are going to say yes, bring him back. And that's exactly what happened. 78% said yes. Bring the kid back. Now, JD Vance even gave his opinion, along with Donald Trump, who gave his opinion. JD Vance said, here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of Elez's posts. Some of his posts? What do you mean by some of his posts? Which ones do you agree with, JD Vance? He then said, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. Okay. I sort of agree with what he's getting at, and I just made that point. If I had somebody who was a friend and I found out that 10 years ago they posted something on Instagram that was kind of edgy and it wasn't really the best joke, I would be like, dude, I hope you've grown since then. Of course, social media posts shouldn't ruin somebody's life. That's not what's happening here. This dude, 4 or 5 months ago, was saying that more people should be racist. He was advocating for eugenics like he's a Nazi. He was posting some absolutely vile stuff just a few months back. So to chalk this up to social media posts, just some stupid social media activity, which is what he says, stupid social media activity, is incredibly disingenuous and is downplaying racism infiltrating our government. He then says, we shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people, ever. Who's trying to destroy him? The dude is 25. He is older than me, and he is intentionally making racist posts. And here's the thing, the kid seems to be pretty smart. From everything I've read, he seems to be a good programmer. He seems to have worked for some high-level corporations. So this isn't some dumbass making racist posts. This is a smart dude intentionally advocating for more racism. Then JD Vance says, I say bring him back. If he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team, fire him for that. He is a bad dude, and thankfully Jon Favreau points out, then bring him back. You're the big tough guy with all the power now, right? Or at least you work with the two guys that do. You don't get to play the victim anymore and hide behind the mean journalists and the cancel culture libs. You're in charge now. If you want to hire back the guy who openly says he's racist and couldn't be paid to marry outside his ethnicity, instead he wants to normalize Indian hate, do it. Not sure I could look my family in the eye if I did something like that, but maybe you can. So live your truth, pal. Bring back the racist. And of course, I want to remind you guys one more time, JD Vance has an Indian American wife who is very visibly Indian American. So she can be racially profiled in the way that Elez, the dude, the DOGE dude, wants her to be. He wants people to be racially profiled like that. He says more people should be racist against Indians. Ro Khanna, another Indian American representative, then said, are you going to tell him to apologize for saying normalize Indian hate before his rehire? Just asking for the sake of both of our kids. Because of course they both have Indian American kids. And then JD Vance responds, for the sake of both our kids, grow up. Racist trolls on the internet, while offensive, don't threaten my kids. You know what does? A culture that denies grace to people who make mistakes. A culture that encourages congressmen to act like whiny children. Oh my lord. Okay, a few things. First of all, I entirely reject JD Vance's framing that this is just somebody who made a few mistakes. He is a 25-year-old grown man who, again, intentionally advocated for eugenics and more racism in America. Now, if this dude was working at some sort of store, some sort of grocery store, he would probably get fired, but I don't think it would matter as much. This dude will have access to the data, the information of some of the most important agencies and important people in the United States. I'm sorry if I don't want an avowed racist having access to this information. It is incredibly crazy to see JD Vance defending Indian hatred when his family is Indian. Ro Khanna then says, no one is denying grace to people who make mistakes. I respect Usha. I've praised her publicly and defended your family from some of the vicious attacks. But if you're going to rehire someone to represent you and the USA, why not insist he apologize for saying, quote, normalize Indian hate? And remember, this kid said a lot more than just normalize Indian hate. And that is where it ends there. But Donald Trump was asked if this kid should be reinstated. And I think this clip is worth a watch.
As part of this DOGE cost-cutting effort, one of the DOGE engineers was fired for some inappropriate posts. The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president. Thank you, Peter.
So I can actually sort of believe that Donald Trump doesn't know much about this exact situation. I'd hope that he's not following internet drama beef online, but the fact that he has to defer to JD Vance and just blindly trust him, even though the kid did post racist stuff, is disgusting. But let's go on to the main story of today. This story I find incredibly important and also incredibly just scary. So again, Edward Korestein, another dude, this is separate from the racist troll dude, posted online that he had retained access to a previous firm's servers, a cybersecurity firm. Now he has access to to sensitive government information. Edward Korestein, a 19-year-old member of Elon Musk's squad that crisscrosses the United States government agencies trying to gut them, was fired from an internship after he was accused of sharing information with a competitor. Quote, Edward has been terminated for leaking internal information to the competitors, said a June 2022 message from an executive of the firm. This is unacceptable, and there is zero tolerance for this. Now, if something like this were to happen today, the equivalent would be China, Russia, Iran, or any of the foreign adversaries that would love to knock the U.S. down a peg, gaining access to the information that Korestein currently has. And people have been raising the alarms for this on a while. They've been saying, dude, this is a huge security risk. You cannot have teenage dudes hacking in and getting access to all of our most vulnerable data. And you can't be feeding that into AI. It's an incredibly bad move. And now we know why. A spokesperson for the Arizona-based hosting and data security firm said Thursday, quote, I can confirm that Edward Korestein's brief contract was terminated after the conclusion of an internal investigation into the leaking of proprietary company information that coincided with his tenure. So a few things. Number one, there is precedent for this dude leaking information in his teens, and he's still a teenager. But number two, I want to know, is Elon Musk going to fire this dude? I mean, if he rehires the racist dude, why the hell would he fire the hacker leaker dude? And it kind of reminds me of this story from a year or two back. Do you guys remember Jack Teixeira, however you say his name? He got sentenced to 15 years in prison for sharing military secrets online, and he was about 21 years old. I remember when this happened, I was the same age, and this dude entirely ruined his life because he had to flex certain secrets he had in a Discord server or in a Minecraft server, whatever it was. And I think that is almost a perfect one-to-one comparison to what could happen with this dude. He's a 19-year-old dude. He's got access to top secret intel in the US government. What if he starts to leak it? What if he starts to show his friends or he tries to impress a girl? This is a very real thing that could happen. And afterward, Korestein wrote that he'd retained access to the cybersecurity company's computers, though he said he hadn't taken advantage of it. Quote, I had access to every single machine, he wrote on Discord in late 2022, weeks after he was dismissed from Path Network, according to messages seen by Bloomberg. Posting under the name Ravage, which 6 people who know him said was his alias, Korestein said he could have wiped Path's customer supporting servers if he'd wished. He added, quote, I never exploited it because it's not just me. It's just not me. Oh, so you didn't exploit it, but you stole the information, and now you are hacking into our government trying to gain access to data that's just... His comments, made in the Discord server focused on another competitor company, worried executives at Path Network who believed there was no legitimate reason for a former employee to access their machines, according to a person familiar with the incident. In response to his firing, Korestein, who was wearing a blazer and shorts in one undated photo that was posted anonymously online, wrote on Discord that he had done, quote, nothing contractually wrong. Oh yeah, just ethically, morally, and maybe legally wrong, but maybe it didn't violate your contract. Several of Korenstein's online peers and former coworkers said they were surprised the teenage friend had been brought into one of the most high-profile teams in the Trump admin. His 2022 dismissal and the circumstances surrounding it add to questions about how he arrived in this new job with Musk's Department of Government Efficiency and how he'll handle the sensitive government information that comes with it. Quote, giving Elon Musk's goon squad access to systems that control payments to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other key federal programs is a national security nightmare, says Senator Ron Wyden, an Oregon Democrat and a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Quote, every hour, a new disturbing detail emerges to prove that these guys have no business anywhere close to sensitive information or critical networks. And that's why I talked about this guy first, the dude who made all the racist remarks, because I want to paint a broader picture of a bunch of teenage dudes, some of them 19, some of them 21 years old, who are all incredibly immature, inexperienced, and they lack the discipline needed to have their hands on some of the most valuable data out there. Data that could literally sink the United States and could put our foreign adversaries ahead. And what a perfect time for Donald Trump to also be gutting the FBI, the CIA, installing loyalists in the DOJ, basically gutting all of the intelligence organizations that would prevent a leak like this. Now, there are no safeguards, or at least the safeguards are a lot more weak. And we'll leave it at that. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.